Hi, I'm Kat and this is the mid-year book freakout tag for 2020. This tag was created years ago by two of my friends, Ellie and Chammy, and I will leave them both linked down below. And now it's just kind of taken on a life of its own and everyone does it every year now. I've only read like 13 books so far this year, so it's not a big pile for me to choose from for all the stuff I've already read, so there will be repeats on this list. Okay, question 1. Best book you've read so far in 2020? And that is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J Maas. I am Sarah J Maas trash and I loved this book and I just felt all of the emotions. It's 800 pages and I'm pretty sure I read it quicker than any other book that I've read this year. I love Bryce, I love the story, and I love that we're seeing Sarah write like a more modern world, though I say that and it takes place 20,000 years in the future from us. 2. Best sequel you've read so far in 2020. That will be Gilded Ruins by Chantal Gaudry. It is the second book in the Blinding Night duology and it is a Hades and Persephone retelling. I read both books as arcs and after finishing book 1, I really needed book 2. So when book 2 showed up in my inbox, I squealed. It's just a lot of fun and there's pop culture references and like urban fantasy is probably my favorite genre that I've read of Chantal's so far. And I would so read more of the series if she ever decides to write it. 3. New release you haven't read yet but want to. All of them, but one in particular is A Song of Wraith and Ruins. It's out in the US, but I checked with my local bookstore and it doesn't look like it has an Aussie release date yet, so it's probably one that I'm gonna have to buy online. 4. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. My most anticipated releases for this year came out in the first half of the year, so I'm gonna pick one that's coming out in just a couple of days at the end of June, so it might already be out by the time you're watching this video. So that is True Life by Jay Kristoff. This is the final book in the Lifelike series and I'll finally get to read it and see how it all ends. 5. Biggest disappointment. Okay, so like I haven't actually finished this book yet, but I just don't like Darrow. Like I started it 3 months ago and I'm just over halfway. I keep putting it down to read other books, but I want to push through and finish it because I've heard that the ending is worth it and it is Pierre Ford's favorite of the series. So I am determined to finish it next. However, I do have a review book that I need to read in July, so we'll see how this happens. Just please yell at me until I finish it. 6. Biggest surprise. Daisy Jones and the Six. I knew I was gonna like it, but I loved it so much that after reading the physical copy, I then went and listened to the audiobook. And I don't do audiobooks. I just get distracted really easily, so I did read along to the book as I was listening to it, and it was just really good. The book itself is in an interview format and the audiobook has a full cast, so it's actually like you're listening to the interviews. And funnily enough, both times I read this book, I was traveling, so I read it on planes. And the second time when I was listening to the audiobook, I was on a plane going to Adelaide, and I get on the plane, I sit on my seat, and I instantly just start reading this while the plane is filling up. And then this band that like was straight out of the 70s just like walks past me to their seats, and I'm like, coincidence?
I think not!
7. Favorite new author. This can be debut or new to you. Lynette Noni. I finally read Akane and of course I liked it. Lynette is an Aussie author and I now own the next 3 books in the series, so I can finally read them. It's Portal Fantasy, so it's something I know I will enjoy. And I'm also excited that when conventions start up again, I can finally get my books signed, because I've been at multiple conventions Lynette has also been at, but I've never actually met her because I didn't own her books yet. 8. Newest fictional crush. Kaden from Akane. If you watch my Because We Can reading vlog, you'll see how just frustrated I get at the lack of Kaden. He's one of the guys in our main character Alex's combat class, and Alex just doesn't keep going to combat class. Like she just gets pulled away all the time, and in the next book she just better go to combat class and we better get more Kaden. 9. Newest favorite character. Bryce Quinlan. I just always love Sarah's main characters. She stands up for herself, people underestimate her and she uses that to her advantage. She can fight, and she's the same age as me. It's just really nice to read a character that is the same age as me. 10. A book that made you cry. House of Earth and Blood. Just like the whole thing with Bryce and Danika's friendship. Like it was just very emotional, and the friends in here are like family and I have friends like that too, and like just light it up. Man. 11, a book that made you happy. Twilight. I reread it at the beginning of the year and it just was very nostalgic and made me very happy. 12, most beautiful book you've bought or received so far this year. So it's probably a tie between House of Earth and Blood and Chain of Gold. Like, just look at the pretties. What books do you need to read before the end of the year? So the one at the top of my list is Morningstar. I'm still slugging through Golden Sun, but I want to finish the whole first 3 books of the series so I know what everyone's talking about and I can say that I've read them. I'm probably not going to read the other 3 books in the series because they are huge books and I just don't care enough. And lastly, 14, favorite book community member. Okay, so there's always so many to pick from, so I'm limiting myself to 2, and that is my fellow Because We Can co-hosts. So we've got Jenna from Just a Little Bit Random. She is a fellow Aussie and a fellow Adelaidean. I may live in Melbourne now, but I spent 22 years of my life in Adelaide, so I will always be an Adelaidean first. We also went to the same book club before I moved to Melbourne. She's great, and she's the one who came up with the idea for the Because We Can readathon. We have similar taste in books and TV, and we both love Disney. And during readathon, she makes hella fun and creative videos. And my other co-host is Kat from Brews and Reviews. Yes, both of us being called Kat does make things a little confusing when organizing, but I spell mine with a K and she spells hers with a C. So she also makes hella fun and creative videos, and I actually first found her through the biannual Bibliothon. She reads a lot of thrillers, which I don't read, but it's interesting to hear her thoughts. She also does these Complaints with Kat videos, which she reads a book that she hates and then gives her thoughts on it. The last one she did was about a romance/erotica novel, and while she was having a terrible time, I was thoroughly entertained. Okay, so there is the mid-year book freakout tag. Please comment down below what your favorite book of the year so far was, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to see more of my videos. Just a little, 20 seconds later would have been nice.